So if you're a GarageBand beginner or new to music production in general, plugins can be a pretty confusing thing to take on. But since I am such a legend, I have gone ahead and found 3 of the easiest GarageBand plugins for beginner musicians to use. That's what we're talking about in today's video. Coming right up. Let's go. So all of these plugins that I'm going to be talking about today can be found below in the description. Waves is doing a crazy special right now. That's why I felt obligated to do this video. I want to make sure that you guys take advantage of that. So we're talking about plugins for beginners. And the first bundle that I want to talk about is one of the easiest, most effective plugins I've ever found is the One Knob series. And literally you can tell how easy it is to use within the title itself. It's One Knob. So the One Knob series is going to be a series of 8 powerful, intuitive plugins, each controlled by a single knob. This includes things like filters, reverb, distortion, compression, bass booster, treble booster, and a bunch of different other things that you can use. They are super easy. So I have here a track. This was a beat that was given to me by a friend of mine, Keith Phelps, and basically it's got a really low bass and a lot of really crazy like high synths. But the thing about this mix is the synths aren't really as prevalent as I would like for them to be. So I'm going to use the One Knob series to bring them out. So you hear it right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and select this one knob brighter, and you'll tell the difference that it makes just by turning this single knob. So you can really see how this One Knob Brighter plugin really opens up this song to sound a lot more wide open in the highs. It's not so muffled, it's not so like bassy and just kind of kept within a box, but you can really open up the sound of those synths with a turn of a single knob. Then they have one called One Knob Fatter, which basically gives you a little bit of a bass boost, a little bit more bottom to the song. So if you want to bring out a little bit more thump and then get that really like Drake type bassy vibe to your tracks, you can throw that onto your instrumentals or whatever you want to throw it on, and it's going to enhance that sound without just pumping up the bass and turning it up and ruining your mix. I'll show you what it sounds like without it. And then here's with it on. Listen to that bass. But I just had it around too. It's so easy to use. Such an effective series. I highly recommend that you get this because they do have stuff like reverbs and distortions and things like that that you want to add to your vocals maybe as well, that can really enhance your vocal production as well as your music production. So next we want to go ahead and go to the CLA signature series. This is going to be the CLA bass, CLA drum, CLA effects, guitars, unplugged, and vocals. And the ones that I use the most is going to be CLA effects and CLA vocals because I like to use this specifically for my vocals. It's really easy to achieve different effects. So like not only can you just turn up the reverb like one knob or turn up the echo like one knob, you can literally come into CLA and then you'll see the bass, the treble, the compressor, the reverb, the delay, the pitch. These are like all in one plugins, and it's just really simple how you can use these things to achieve different effects. The thing that makes these plugins very simple is their ease of use, as far as there's not many knobs to turn, there's not many sliders to do, there's not a lot of buttons to press. Everything doesn't have this confusing language like inputs and your gain and your peak reduction and all this other crazy stuff that people don't really know what's going on, what that means. If you know the basics of music, you can use the CLA plugins. So for instance, I have right here the CLA vocals, which you guys may have seen me talk about before, and I can go from my vocals right now, 'cause I can give you everything, to something like this. Can give you everything you needed. So this is a really useful plugin. Once again, this is like a one in all, and all of them are like this. You know, the CLA effects, for instance, if I want to go ahead and get just a really simple telephone effect, it's going to sound like I'm talking through a telephone filter. How easy is that? How simple is that? The things up here are really easy to understand. Telephone, filter, top. The reverb is described by canyon, hall, or room. It's told in language that anybody can understand. Any normal human being can come in here and say, I want my reverb to sound like it's coming from the Grand Canyon. Oh, they have a canyon selection. Select that. Or I want my reverb to sound like I'm in a very small hotel room, so it is bouncing, but not too much. Oh, they literally have a room that says room. These are not the only CLA plugins available, but as far as vocal recording, vocal production goes, the CLA effects, CLA vocals, such easy programs to use, very easy to understand, and very simple controls. It's just up and down knobs, up and down knobs. You press a button to achieve whatever kind of effect you're trying to achieve on each of these settings. Lastly, one of my other favorites right behind CLA vocals is going to be the Greg Wells Signature Series. These plugins are also very useful in a variety of ways. One of my favorites within this is the voice centric plugin, and this is going to be just like CLA vocals, except it has its own little flair to it, its own sound to it, and that's why I like to pair the two of them. It's basically just this one intensity knob which turns up the intensity of the vocals. It's kind of like a little bit of a compression, a little bit more punch. And then you have these effects up here, the delay, the doubler, which is the spreader, and the reverb, and just 4 knobs to use. That's it. That's literally it. And then you can go ahead and turn that up and change the sound of your vocals or your track.
'Cause I can give you everything you needed of everybody to travel down that road.
You see how easy it was for me to achieve like a really like dreamy type delay going on. It's so simple, dude. And then there's also the mix centric plugin, and the purpose of mix centric is to enhance your overall mix. This is not for one track, this is not for one vocal, this is not for single use, but it's meant to enhance an entire mix. And that's why this works best with a DAW that has bus channels, so that you can affect the entire mix. But in my case, in GarageBand's case, if you export your song and you put mix centric on there, it's going to also have the same effect, kind of like how the Abbey Road did. So I'm just going to show you what this does. And once again, this is kind of like a way to add an extra layer of butter, I would say, to your mix to get that extra cut through. You know what I'm saying? So this is without mix centric on.
You got his hands on your body. You told me, baby, don't worry, he's just a friend, but then alcohol.
And then I'll turn it with the mix centric on.
You told me, baby, don't worry, he's just a friend, but then alcohol told a different story.
Off.
Oh, no. Photos from those nights when you lied with David surface. Now I see the truth.
And on.
Tell me, was I on your mind all those times you were in his bed with?
So it just, like I said, it gives that extra butter, that extra spice on top of your track to kind of allow it to punch more without just turning everything up. It's, again, meant for a completed mix. And the fact that it's just one knob you turn and it does whatever magic it does to enhance the lows, to bring out the highs, make it a little brighter, make it a little bassier, just with the single turn of a knob, that's what makes these plugins so great for beginners. I do highly recommend, if you want to take your sound to the next level, to go ahead and invest in some of these. If you guys liked today's video, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and also subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Turn on the bell notifications and flip it to all so that you will be notified of every single upload that I do in the future. As always, stay legendary.